All right, let's get to the heart of the matter. And to get that conversation started, we've asked Mr. Torsten Waesen, the Managing Director of European Corporate Solutions at Alvarez and Marsal in Munich, Germany, to join us. Torsten brings more than 20 years of retail marketing, performance improvement, and e-commerce experience earned in Germany, Belgium, the Ukraine, and the United States to the table. Torsten's career highlights include serving as Chief Marketing and Merchandise Officer for Neckerman.de, an assignment marked by renegotiating the company's sourcing contracts with Li and Fung Hong Kong. He developed and implemented a new sourcing strategy for Auto.de, one of the world's largest mail order and e-commerce companies, operating in 20 different countries. And he built the online stores for Kaufhof, one of Germany's longest standing department store chains. As testament to Torsten's globetrotting career, he told me about spending a year commuting between Naples, Florida at home and Cologne, Germany, made possible by the fact that he doesn't actually suffer from jet lag. So, here, having arrived last night from Munich and presumably feeling fresh and energized, is Mr. Torsten Waesen.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me here. It's an honor to speak here, but finally I figured out why I was invited. Coming back to sports, I guess I'm the next tallest guy to Dirk Nowitzki you could get your hand on. And from what I've seen in the last years, you have some good experiences with him and Dallas, so yeah. Global e-com. It's a huge market. Last year, 2014, we were talking about 1.3 trillion US dollars generated worldwide through e-commerce. That's an equivalent of 7% of the entire global market. And for retail, this is pretty much the last resort for growth. And what has fundamentally changed is, like, in the 80s and 90s, we were talking about globalization, i.e. sourcing out our production facilities to Far East, in Europe to Turkey, to Morocco. And right now this has changed because we're talking about globalization. So in each of these countries right now we find very attractive markets to sell our merchandise. And to be quite frank, none of the pictures was taken in the United States. But I think all of these people look very similar for you, because from a global perspective, we're not talking about, like, we have a specific merchandise in China or the US or in Germany, but the peer groups globally work pretty much, they are wearing the same things and they are fond of the same global brands. That's also a reason why cross-border commerce has increased right now to 230 billion US dollars last year, to be expected to grow to $1 trillion in the year 2020. If you take a look at markets like France, the UK, and the United States, already 2/3 of all customers have placed an international online order last year and bought from an international store. 90% of all the online businesses in the UK shipped an order to an international destination last year. So this is a huge opportunity for everyone. And digital and e-com has also changed the way how you can go to the next international market, because back in the past, you pretty much only had two opportunities. Number one, you go for a direct invest in that market, ramp up your own entity, and we all know this is very expensive, a lot of invests needed, a lot of resources needed that you have to shift to that new market, or you were able to work with a distributor. Also hard to find, to rely on, and at the end of the day, it is his business, he is the importer of records, and you have no transparency at which price at the end of the day he is selling your merchandise. So nowadays, and that's what I'm talking about with e-com, you have several opportunities to internationalize your business at way lower costs. For example, what we see here are the IP addresses that hit the ASOS online store on one single day. ASOS is a fashion company, online pure player based in London, and they do their business, their global business, out of one warehouse. More than 60% of their business is international, only 40% of their business is domestic. And it's a 600, 700 million pound business. So if you got your logistic and fulfillment processes right, you're able to build an enormous global e-commerce business out of one hub. If you lack the skills to do that, there are partners out there to help you. I've seen we have a representative from Pitney Bowes here. They have recently taken over Borderfree, a player in New York. What they are doing, we have several other players, DHL is offering that service, Border Guru, Borderlinks. If you have an online store, they help you to create an international shopping basket. And that's very important because, for example, in Germany, customers are buying online internationally since years from Amazon. But to get the merchandise was always a burden because what happens is you get a notice from your local tax authorities that you are supposed to pick up the order at their offices. Then you go there, you have to pay cash. So it was a hassle to get to the merchandise. Companies like Borderfree offer you a global checkout, i.e. I pay in euros, everything, also taxes and VAT is prepaid, so I got the merchandise shipped back to my home, what is very convenient for the customer. The mayor just said it, online customers appreciate convenience, so it's easier for you because you are able to sell from one hub in the United States to the rest of the world, and it's easier for your international customers. To identify these is also pretty easy. First of all, you can look at your e-commerce site and can track from which IP addresses they logged in. And then you can use tools like Google Trends. I don't tell you the brand name, but this is an American fashion retailer. And the darker the color is, the blue, the more attractive the brand is for the markets. And you see there seems to be a huge interest in markets like Brazil, Australia, but also Europe, and even more interest in the UK than in the United States. So to figure out which markets you should hit, you can use existing online tools, and that's free of charge. And then after you have done that, you might think about opening a store. I can't tell your name, but I was working with a fashion brand from New York, and they internationalized their business, and they figured out that they have a strong demand from one particular Asian market. So they opened a store. And after they have opened the store in the market, they realized that suddenly the visits on the online site concerning that market were increasing by 300%. Sales were increasing by 100%. After returns, 50% more profit. So I think many pure players are doing a great job, but I believe in omnichannel. And if you do it the right way, you are able to support your e-com business with a store and vice versa. Then there are many institutions who are out there to help you. I mean, as a consultant, I should not say that, but if you go to Germany, you can come to us, or you go to GTAI, that's the German Trade and Invest Organization, and as you want to open a store in Germany, and this is creating new jobs, and also someone is taking the rent, they help you for free. So I think there are also several institutions here from different countries in Europe, so usually what all of these institutions in the market do, they also help you in the market to figure out a way to start a business. And again, as they are interested to make business, it's free of charge. Then, with the beginning of e-commerce, we saw a new phenomenon that's B2B marketplaces. This one is Citra. It's a fashion marketplace of the Otto Group. Over here, stateside, you have companies like Your or New Order. So if you join those marketplaces, you can internationalize your business in a B2B way, what is very important in Europe. I will come back to this later on. Then you have the B2C marketplaces. For example, this is Tmall. They belong to Alibaba. And you can sell directly through them to the Chinese market, as Costco, for example, is doing it. And it has a big advantage because your entire business is handled through a trade-free zone. So the burden concerning bringing in the merchandise, the import, is not there. It's a very good way to test the water temperature in that market at a very low market entry cost. Or you have hybrid models like JD. JD.com is also offering an international business model right now, but they took it one step further than Tmall. If they are realizing that you have some bestsellers, they start to buy the merchandise from you, store it in their Chinese warehouses and sell it to their customers. The advantage from JD to Alibaba is they have 180 warehouses throughout China, and China is a very huge country and you want to be close to your customer group. Or you go for an individual approach. There's another nice market, and that is the market of the global shoppers or duty-free. This has grown into a $50 billion business so far. That's a German example. So, two former colleagues of mine from Kaufhof realized that there are many Chinese customers who want to buy merchandise that is made in Germany. So they opened a store at the biggest airport in Germany, in Frankfurt, and they also opened an online site addressing Chinese customers before they travel to Germany, so they are able to place the order online and pick it up at the airport. And it's very important for customers from Russia and Chinese to get the original merchandise. There had been so much fraud during the last couple of years that if they are able to afford it, they want to buy the real thing. So it's up to you how creative you want to be and figure out your own way how to get your merchandise to the right customer group. Wholesale. Wholesale in Europe is a complete different ballgame than over here. For example, if you take a look at the German market, the German fashion market has a volume of 70 billion euros. 50% is done by specialty stores, and we are not talking about the mom and pop stores like over here in the States. It's like boutiques, it's local department stores. They are still existing in the European markets. So if you want to grow your revenue in that market and you are not in wholesale, you leave a lot of that market lying next to your plate that you want to also have on your plate. So if you join a B2B marketplace, then you have the opportunity again to hit those players. Or another idea is you can go for a tag-on model. Over here you have one advantage concerning economies of scale and scope, particularly in the fashion industry. The numbers that you are sourcing in the Far East are unheard of in Western Europe. So what you can do is, and that's a real example, I've worked on this one. You have the dress on the left-hand side. It was created in the fashion district in New York. It was sourced in the Far East, and it is sold over here in the United States. And then we did tag-ons with European retailers concerning their private label business, and about 20,000 of this dress were sourced for the United States market and another 2,000 for the European market. But this is a huge advantage for European players to collaborate with companies over here, because as they not nearly hit the numbers, it's impossible for them to work with the best factories in China, Vietnam, or Bangladesh. And then I took this quote from Spencer Fang. It's about competition. You should find out who is not a competitor anymore, but a future partner. For example, the Otto Group, and they are a classic retailer in Germany, the second biggest online fashion retailer after Amazon worldwide. They offer competitors a tag-on one. For example, the second biggest German catalog retailer, Klingel, is sourcing through the Otto Group. So on the one hand side, they are competitors. On the other hand side, they collaborate concerning sourcing. Then they have a wholesale model on their side. So each brand is able to sell through otto.de. Then they have a platform with Citra. For example, in Germany, the equivalent to Zappos is Zalando, also pretty big in Europe right now, and they are the fiercest competitor of the Otto Group. Through their B2B platform, they sold Wasen, a Chinese market that entered the European market through Citra, to their competitor Zalando. So you always have to think, what might be my next best partner, with whom am I able to collaborate? And then of course, and I've heard that many times stateside, complexity of the European market. Yes, we are extremely complex. Customs, labeling, there's a joke, if you go for the labeling in the European market concerning a bikini, the label is bigger than the bikini, that's right, because you have print all the components. It's true, you have to print everything in all the different languages, so picture, Italian, Spanish, French, English, German, Danish, Dutch, it's crazy. We have reach, but reach, it's about the components you are able to use. There's a thing about ASO, what is not a big issue over here, was a big issue in Europe. But this is also a moving target for all the European players. And then, of course, VAT, sales tax, is different in each country, but quite frankly, it's different in each state in the United States. So that's not new for you. So at the end of the day, this is not rocket science. This is all handleable if you do your homework in advance, and you can take it step by step. You might do it by starting the water temperature with a fulfillment partner, with a global partner, and then go for a direct invest in the next step, or work with a B2B marketplace in the next step. Unfortunately, there is no blueprint. So you have to figure out your own individual way how to do that. But final words, because I was asked to set the tone for the conference. I think we have all realized that the domestic market over here in the States, it's an enormous market, but it's not endless. So right now, we are facing global competition, but we are also facing global markets and global opportunities. And this conference is a great idea to reach out to experts who have global experience, who have experience in their market. Please talk to them and make this event a very successful conference. Thank you for having me here.